It's time for another Routerbob Out and About trip, and we're headed to New Hampshire to visit Peter Poanessa at Keene Signworx. He's going to show us how he's used his ShopSabre CNC router as an important part of his successful sign business. Hey, let's get going.
It is terrible. I started noticing people doing that about 10 years ago. I was like, start every sentence with so, and now I do it. It's a pet peeve of mine. So there we go. The other thing that bothers me is when everybody ends they make a statement and they say, right? I'll probably start doing that one soon. See if I can remember that after the end of this. Well, I had an odd start, actually. I was an art major in college. I knew I wanted to make things and not be a teacher. And so eventually I quit college and went out on an adventure and ended up on a commercial fishing boat. I fished for a few years, and eventually one day we were waiting for somebody to come paint the name on the boat. I watched an old gentleman do the name painting, and I was a little bit surprised. I'd never thought about the idea that somebody could make a living making signs. So that led me into the sign business. Originally, the first 10 years or so, we did everything by hand in my little shop. Painted signs by hand, we made patterns by hand. All the carved signs that I did were carved with chisels. A long, 1 week I should say, we had a long week of carving a sign, a big double-sided mahogany sign. And it was all done by hand, and by the end of the week I had developed tennis elbow, or in this case carver's elbow, which plagued me for a couple of months. And this is when I knew that I had to find an automated way to do some of this work. When I first got the idea of adding a CNC machine to my sign shop, it was a little bit unnerving and bewildering because one, wasn't very many shops using them, and two, it was very difficult to find information on them. We didn't really have hardly any internet at this point. We're talking mid-90s. I could only find information through trade journals, which would be just a simple ad from an industrial company that made machines. You could see one or two of them running at trade shows, but I was still really nervous about buying one because it was a very large outlay of cash for a small shop like mine. In 1996, I paid $35,000 for a 4x4 table, and it arrived, got it set up, started running it, and I knew immediately it was going to be a really big benefit for my shop. I think we doubled our gross revenue the first year and doubled it again the next year. And that was without adding any employees. It just made my time that much more efficient. I started looking for a new machine a couple of years ago when my old machine was starting to show signs of being outdated and not dependable anymore. I rely on the router a lot in my shop. Pretty much every job goes over the router, and I didn't want to be stuck in a place where my router was broken down. I didn't have any tech support, and so I started to look for a new machine. And this time around, there was a world of information available. I had dozens or hundreds of different companies I could look at. I had videos, user groups, social media. I had a few things that I had to have in the new machine. One was servo drive motors because they're more dependable, they're faster, they're smoother. Another was Windows-based design and operation. I do run the machine myself, and I don't run it a lot, but I like to be very efficient when I get on it. And I find having everything on a Windows-based screen gives me the information I need to run a job quickly. Another thing that I was really adamant about was good tech support from an American company. I didn't want to be in a position where I was calling overseas for tech support, or I was calling tech support and nobody would answer, because if the machine goes down, my whole shop stops, and I really need that dependability. During my search for a new machine, ShopSabre kept coming up in all my inquiries. I was looking for things like tech support, and they were always at the top of the list for tech support. Other users were spouting about how they always got responses from the tech team, and that meant a lot to me to keep the machine running. As I looked into ShopSabre more, I found they were offering the other pieces that I wanted, servo drive motors, a Windows-based operation, and when I finally decided to call and talk to somebody there, I got a salesman on the phone, which I'm not usually inclined to want to do, but I found them to be really helpful and not pushy at all. I probably called them 10 times, and they never made me feel like a pain in the neck. Always answered my questions, didn't call me back and harass me. And going over the quote with my salesman, I found everything I needed at the price point that I wanted. And I finally decided to pull the trigger on an RC8 a couple of years ago. When I first got the ShopSabre in here, I found myself cutting parts the first day. I didn't know anything about the WinCNC operating system other than what I'd seen online, but I found that to be super easy to learn. All the information I needed to run the router was on the screen, and it's very intuitive. So I was up and running like a pro literally in a day. Even though I'm a small shop with no real growth plans, I do like to make money, and I need to produce a lot of work for that to happen. And as I took more work and had more confidence in the machine and learned its capabilities, everything just grew nicely for me. I'm still basically a one-man shop, but I put out about a third more work now than I did before I bought this particular router. The rigidity and the smoothness of the servo motors meant I could machine aluminum, and I had customers starting to come to me for custom motorcycle parts and things I wouldn't have taken with my old machine. I think some of the markets that are available for this machine are probably limitless. My advice to anybody looking to buy a new CNC router is to seriously consider ShopSabre. I did my homework. I'm very happy with my purchase, and the company has turned out to be everything I hoped they would be, and the machine too. The price might look expensive to some people, but the machine will add to your capabilities and your production so much that the price doesn't become an issue. If you're new to CNC and you're a little bit nervous about getting into it, ShopSabre is there with learning. They've got a big user base, social media where you can ask questions from all their other users, and they have people in all different industries, so you have a really wide knowledge base there. They're super helpful. They're going to help you get up and running. I am extremely happy with having bought a ShopSabre, and I think you will be too.
It's always great to see how our customers use their ShopSabre CNCs as part of their business, and we appreciate Peter sharing his company story with us. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you need more information, you can contact us at shopsabre.com. Thank you for watching.